Oh, just innocent Puggle. Never gets into trash, never barks at people that walk by. Just nice and innocent. Am I right? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. It's good to see you guys. Oh man, I hope you guys like that E92 because I am freaking stoked on it. The E36, baby. Oh yeah. I love this car. If you guys are new to my channel, first off, hit the subscribe because like 90% of y'all that watch aren't subscribed. So just hit the subscribe. But if you're new to the channel, I have an E36 M3 with an S54 swap. Oh, there she is in all her glory with carbon fiber intake. Now, when you run the carbon fiber intake, you have to do a mass airflow delete. So the car isn't running on mass airflow, which means you can't use the normal OEM ECU type of tune, I believe. I'm not an expert with this stuff by any means. This stuff with tuning, stuff like that, I get it explained to me. I can turn a wrench, I can install stuff, follow directions, but when it comes to this type of stuff, I'm definitely a novice. Less than a novice. I'm a novice. I don't know much about it, but the way it was explained to me is when you're not running a mass airflow, the OEM or the stock DME doesn't have anything to judge the amount of air coming in, which means it can't tell the injectors how much fuel to spray. So you have to, we tuned it on alpha N, and basically what alpha N is a set of parameters. X amount of airflow, put X amount of fuel. X amount of airflow, put X amount of fuel. So it gives it, the way I think about it, at least in my brain, is extreme. So you have high extreme and low extreme. But with that being said, I want to try and test out some other tunes, but since I am running with no mass airflow, I can't do that. And to keep this airbox, I can't run a mass airflow. So the other option is to run a map sensor, which is manifold absolute pressure. Really don't know much about that, but I know if I run a map sensor, then I can run a CSL tune, E46 CSL, which is basically the best, the holy grail of E46 M3s. So what I'm going to do today is find out what ECU or DME I have. There are two different DMEs that you can get with an S54. One is an MS S54 and one is a MS S54 HP. If you have the HP, then it can be tuned remotely, I believe. If you have the MS S54, then I believe you have to convert it to the HP or just buy an HP. I don't know, if some of y'all out there probably have a lot more experience with me than on this topic, so let me know, but I believe that's correct. So what I'm gonna do right now is see what ECU I have. Also what I did was I ordered a map sensor conversion. So Castle Performance sells a map sensor conversion kit for this car, or for this engine basically, that goes somewhere around here. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm new to this, so I'm not an expert on where it goes. But then I'll be able to have a map sensor and run the CSL tune. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself because the map sensor should be here hopefully Thursday. The conversion should be here hopefully Thursday, and I'll only be able to run this if I have the HP ECU, because if not, then I'll have to get an HP ECU and then put the tune on that ECU. Anyway, goal for today, find out which ECU I have. Then, secondary, low tier goal is take this car to a dyno to get some baseline numbers and see if the CSL tune actually makes any difference. Should be a good one, because I've been really curious about this, because this car is running E85 conversion kit as well, so I can run E85, but when we tuned it on alpha N with E85, it didn't really make much of a difference at all. I mean, like at all, there was no difference. So I'm very curious to see if the CSL tune makes a difference, and then the CSL tune plus E85, if that makes a difference. So, all good stuff if you're a car guy. If you're not a car guy and you don't like engines and horsepower, then you probably won't subscribe or have made it this far in general. I'm gonna get through this. All right, so here we go, folks. There it is, MS S54. Now, I actually thought I would have the MS S54 HP because I read that those come on like 2003 and plus M3s, and this is a 2004 motor. So I don't know, I thought I would have had one, but I guess I don't. So it's the next day, a few things to explain here. So one, I don't have the HP ECU that I was hoping for, but not to worry. I got one coming, or I have one coming from a buddy of mine. So that'll be good. And then I'm gonna get the CSL tune loaded up on that. So that'll be really interesting. So when I get the Castle part that I'm waiting for, then I will throw in that ECU and install that Castle part and see how this thing runs. That'll be super interesting because, again, I want to do a baseline dyno with this, the way it's currently set up versus the CSL tune, and then versus the CSL tune on E85 as well. So a bunch of stuff there. That will have to be in another video though, so stay tuned if you're interested in that. Now the meat and potatoes, something I've been avoiding doing. The S2000 is kind of having the fueling issue again that you saw in one of my last videos, where it's kind of sluggish, kind of not running optimal. I pulled the new fuel pump and fuel filter that I installed in that last video. I'll throw in some pictures of how that fuel filter looks. It's not horrible, but I shot Full Blown Motorsports a message on Instagram, and they said it shouldn't be that dirty. To me, it doesn't look bad, but to someone who's done this before, it's not good. So with that being said, since that filter got dirty already, I went ahead, pulled the injectors, and actually cleaned those on my own. You kind of have to jimmy rig some stuff to clean these on your own. I don't want to make a video about it because I don't want anyone blowing themselves up or doing anything. Check out YouTube, figure out how to clean injectors for yourself. It's not that overly complicated, but you have to make something like this. This is my fuel injector cleaner. So this part goes over the fuel injector, that plugs into carb cleaner. You can figure out what happens there, and then you have to hook power up to the fuel injector itself to clean it. So I did rip out the filters on the ends of the injectors. If you don't know, fuel injectors have like a little micro filter that goes in there. That's a huge pain to get out, so be prepared to destroy that. And I ordered an injector rebuild kit for those, and then I ordered another set of stock AP1 injectors just in case I messed those up in any way. And they were like $100. If I don't use them, I'll just store them. But the bigger picture, which someone pointed out to me, is if my fuel filter's already getting dirty, I might as well get the fuel tank cleaned, because once I start having more fuel going through the system, i.e. when I supercharge this and throw in 1000cc injectors and it's running 350-ish horsepower, the last thing I want to have happen is there to be a fueling issue when I could have prevented it, especially right now. That requires me to drop the rear subframe. I was really hoping to avoid this, but I'm not going to be able to. So today I'm digging into dropping the rear subframe, and there's really not much information on this. A lot of the stuff I've done so far, I've gotten really lucky. There's basically everything under the sun is covered on the S2000, and basically a lot of stuff is covered on the E36 M3. But there is not really any tutorials on dropping the rear subframe for an S2000. So this is gonna be one, I guess. I'm not a professional mechanic. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to this stuff, so I hesitate to call it a tutorial, but I'm gonna try and drop the rear subframe. So, as I've done a million times, time to get this beast up in the air so I can start wrenching on this thing. Gotta love project cars. All right, she's all jacked up. Man, again, I don't really know where to start on this, so basically what I'm gonna do is start just taking off the things that I know need to come off. Like the exhaust will definitely need to come off. The prop shaft will need to be disconnected from the differential. Take off the wheels, obviously stuff like that. Then I'm kind of just gonna look under there and see what is obvious. I mean, I know you're gonna have to disconnect the charcoal canister or like the emissions thing. So that will need to come off. I'm probably going to try and disconnect the struts from the control arm. and probably the brake calipers so I don't have to rebleed the system. And then from there, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do some looking. So I'm gonna get down there, disconnect the exhaust and the easy things first, and go from there. All right, boys, so here's where we're at. We actually have the struts disconnected, the ABS line disconnected from the upper control arm and the brake itself. Then I disconnected the brake line up here and put a bleeder valve cap on the end of that to stop it from leaking, and disconnected the brake caliper that's resting right here. The e-brake line has been disconnected from the mounting points to the subframe, and now it's just resting. So all that's loose, all that's good, and it's the same story on the other side. So exhaust out, driveline dropped. I mean, really, with the strut disconnected, the brakes disconnected, I believe we could actually start working on the subframe bolts itself. So right here, right there, and then let's see where else we got. Then we got one right here and right there. Oh, okay. And then the charcoal canister right there, that is for evap stuff. I have to figure out what to do with this. There's a mounting bolt right there that you can see that I need to unscrew, but I want to figure out where everything routes and the best way to take this off. So I'll probably work on that now, because once this is off, then we can basically work on starting to lower the rear subframe. And you see the brake lines here. Here's a better shot of them right there, and it mounts right up there, and then you follow it up and it mounts right there as well. So all that's disconnected. So yeah, we are moving right along with this. It's really not that bad, but I don't want to speak too soon. We'll see how it is working on this. Oh, all right, boys. So we are to the point now where we are supporting the diff. So there's, I think I already pointed this out. Yeah, so we're gonna start loosening the mounts to the body, or the places where the subframe is mounted to the body, and there's 3 of them. There's another one right there, and then there's one more right there. You can kind of see right there, big boy. So I got all the evap stuff taken down, and I believe it's all disconnected from the subframe. Yeah, from the subframe. But that's why I'm going to do it slow. I'm just going to take my time, do it slow, and hopefully see if anything is connected. All right, boys, so subframe dropped, and actually, you know, it really wasn't as bad as I was thinking. I was thinking it was going to be like a trans removal type of deal. It's not that bad. I would say the hardest part is probably that evap system, and I kind of have a good idea of where things go, kind of, so to speak. But again, the reason I'm doing this is to drop the fuel tank so I can get that cleaned. So this is half the battle. So eventually what I'm going to do is remove the diff and have the diff sent out to Putty Mod to get rebuilt. Probably going to go with the 444 rear end. That plus a supercharger should make a world of difference in this car. That's going to do it for today. I will see you tomorrow. It's a new day, boys. All right. Here's what we got for the gas tank, since this is, ooh, what the, weird. Oh, sorry, strut tower. Need to not bend that. There it is. Looks like we got some crap to clean off. This little spider web, but it doesn't look like it's held on by much, just 4 bolts there. So I'm gonna go through and drain this, and then it should be pretty easy. There are a few fuel lines over there to disconnect, I'm assuming. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go up top and drain it like I have 3 times already, and then get ready to drop this. I don't think it should be too complicated from here on out. All right, boys, gas tank pulled. Let me tell you, probably the trickiest part out of all of this, it's not really even tricky, is just getting the fuel tube or the fuel hose connected, the fuel whatever neck, fuel filler neck connected to the tank. Getting that off is kind of a pain in the butt. But after that's done, it's really not too bad. And I know it looks like a mess. It shouldn't be that hard to put back. Knock on wood. But here's the weird thing. When I siphoned out the gas, obviously I had to plunge hose down the fuel filler neck. This was before I had the fuel pump off. And I found these, that piece, and this piece floating around, well, just inside the tank. So I want to know where those go. I think they go on the end of the fuel filler neck itself, but I'm not sure how. And it looks like a piece is missing because that doesn't just stay on there on its own. Let me know if you know where that goes. All right, so I have the tank actually being cleaned right now. And to be honest, the guy who's doing it said it doesn't really look that bad. So I am curious to see how, I took the injectors actually to get flowed and tested to see how they are. I know I cleaned them on my own, but I want a professional shop to do it just to see, to make sure that they're still good. Because again, I'm going to be running forced induction more than likely. And the last thing I want is for fueling to be off on this. So the last thing I'm gonna do is actually try and flush the fuel lines. And the only way I can think of to do it, and I've reached out to a few people, is to get a bunch of carb cleaner and spray it at one end and hopefully try and see it come out the other end. So here's where I'm going to start. So this is the beginning of the fuel line, and I'm just going to stick the carb cleaner in there and then hopefully watch it come out one of the fuel hoses back here. It's either, it's probably this one actually. Probably this fuel line it should come out of. So hopefully with enough in there, some will come out. So we will see. I'm gonna leave this here, and we're gonna get the carb cleaner up front. We're gonna see if anything comes out of that bad boy. All right, well, having never done this before, we're definitely getting a slow drip. I don't know if it should be doing more than that or if that is sufficient. Like, I wasn't expecting it to come streaming out of there, but I was expecting a little more than that. This is where experience definitely pays off, boys. All right, so just did the fuel line, purged that as well as I could. Now I'm going to go through and try and get this as cleaned up as I can. So I'm going to use some simple green and just pressure wash the absolute piss out of it if I can. I mean, I feel like it's a good thing to do. It's about 90 degrees and sunny, so might as well pressure wash it. Why not? All right, so one last thing I was doing, I was actually told this by Brett, the guy who, M Sport Parts, who helped me so much with the E36. He said to get compressed air and clean out, blow the carb cleaner into the fuel line and then use compressed air. So what I did, since this is kind of a weird fuel line, I got this little sprayer hose, connected it to this and shoved that down as far as I could, and then connected this into the compressed air nozzle, which is right there. And I did that after filling up the line with a bunch of carb cleaner, and it seemed to work well. We got a bunch of the carb cleaner to go through the system, so that is good. And then I cleaned off the diff, got it all nice and clean, so it'll be a lot better to work on when it's ready. I am looking at I don't know if I'm gonna do the diff when it's off just because I don't have a bench and it's kind of hard to work on. For me, it'd probably be easier to work on this when it's actually installed in the car. So I may do that before I put the driveline or the prop shaft back connected to the diff. I may replace the diff. I may replace the axles as well. Well, the driver's side axle boot did tear and that flung grease all over the place. So that will need to be replaced. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that. I don't think I'll be able to. I loosened the axle nuts while it was on the car. It may be a little more difficult for me to work on this off the car. So yeah, that may be something I do once I just get the rear subframe installed and before I start buttoning it up. But that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I know it's kind of ending on a weird note because I dropped the fuel injectors off to get cleaned, the gas tank to get cleaned, subframe is out. I'm getting the ECU for the E36, so we'll be running a CSL tune on that soon with Castle's map sensor conversion. So that will be probably next week, and then this should be probably next week as well. The only thing I'm debating on right now is if it's worth it to send my diff out to Putty Mod to get upgraded. If I supercharge this, he recommends going with the stage 2 upgrade. The stage 2 costs around 1,600 bucks. If I choose 444 gears, which is really common, that brings the cost to like 2,400 bucks. I want to know from you guys if it's worth it. Again, that'll be $2,400 on top of probably $6 grand for the supercharger. And again, I'm really stoked about the E92, so I don't really know how I want to like allocate funds. But let me know what you guys would do. Would you do an upgraded diff, or would you just throw the stock diff back in there and then supercharge it and call it a day? So if you're new to the channel, guys, smash that subscribe. I got a lot of stuff coming up with the S2, everything, the E36 and the E92. I need to grow this channel. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.